Please take a second to subscribe, then like and share afterwards. We can really use your support. Thank you. In our previous episode, we looked at how God disinherited the nations at Babel as part of his ingenious plan to bring them back to him. And before we get to that ultimate re-inheritance, we wind the clock even further back to get a fuller story. And we start with this question. What is the first thing humanity does after a world ends? According to the book of Genesis, it was not to build a house or plant a field. It was to build an altar. After the waters of the great flood receded and Noah's family stepped out onto the mountains of Ararat, their first recorded act was one of worship. Genesis 8:20. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. This is the foundational verse for the key point in the script that humanity's first recorded act after the flood was an act of worship and sacrifice, establishing a powerful thematic parallel with the ritual purpose of sites we are about to discover. For generations, we've wondered, what did that new world look like? And how could there possibly be a remnant or marker of that fresh beginning? Intriguingly, just a journey west from the mountains of Ararat, where the Ark settled, in southeastern Turkey, lies a discovery that has stunned archaeologists. It's called Göbekli Tepe. Dated by conventional methods to around 9,600 BC, it is considered the oldest known monumental temple in the world, but that dating is now disputed. That early period is conventionally expected to show us hunter-gatherers with no ability to build monumental sites. It disproves that theory and now supports that these people are far more civilized and were craftsmen. Second, depictions show the people wore tunics, clothing that were more sophisticated than mere animal skins draped over the body. So if convention is wrong about civilization, the dating is too. Built by the earliest post-Diluvian people to exist, this was not just a settlement. It is a sanctuary, a series of stone circles with pillars intricately carved with powerful wild animals. The animal depictions are a major feature here, found everywhere. The parallel is striking. The animals saved on the ark tell us it was salvation for the animal kingdom as well. So seeing it all here makes sense. Now let us look at the schematic of the site itself. Notice the four main circular altars. In each circle are two standing stones. The parallels to the survivors is prominent. This largest circle have the tallest stones, which may just symbolize Noah and his wife. The other three smaller circles also have two stones in each of them, representing Shem and his wife, Ham, his wife, and Japheth and his wife. It is a shrine by the direct descendants of the 8 survivors of the flood. This site represents a first collective reaching toward the divine, but the Bible tells us humanity did not stay united for long. From the highlands of Anatolia, the descendants of Noah began to move, and logically, they would have followed the high ground, the foothills of the Fertile Crescent. As the low-lying Mesopotamian basin, the future land of Shinar, continued to dry from the flood. We see the movement etched into the archaeological landscape. Just a few generations later, in conventional terms, we find sites like Navali Kori with similar T-shaped pillars and ritual buildings. The torch of early civilization is being carried forward. As families grew and clans multiplied, they continued establishing new footholds. At Kayonu, we see the beginnings of settled village life with specialized buildings. The journey continues. By the time we reach the Halaf and Samara cultures of northern Mesopotamia, conventionally dated to around 6000 BC, We see beautiful painted pottery, advanced irrigation, and expanding trade networks. Society is becoming more organized with complexity. Why? Because the population has grown enough to do so. As we spoke about in our Evidence Uncovered Nimrod episode, the population moved eastward as they expanded. Here we will look at it in more detail. As the people migrated east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. Genesis 11:2. The lower valley is now ready. Here, the archaeological record shows the flowering of the Ubaid period. This is the direct precursor to Sumer. We see the first true temples on raised platforms, the prototypes of the great ziggurats. Social hierarchy intensifies. This cultural crescendo culminates in the world's first true cities. This is the Uruk period, the dawn of dynastic Sumer. It is a burst of human ingenuity, writing, the wheel, monumental architecture, and complex kingship. And what does Genesis 10 and 11 record in this very juncture? The founding of cities. From the line of Cush comes Nimrod, the mighty hunter, who establishes a kingdom. His first cities? Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar, Genesis 10:10. And from there he goes to Assyria and builds Nineveh. These are not myths. These are historical realities. Erech is the biblical name for Uruk, the very first city of Sumer. Akkad is the seat of the world's first empire. Nineveh is the great capital of Assyria. The biblical record is providing a pinpoint accurate ethnography of the rise of the Mesopotamian urban civilization. But with this concentrated human power comes concentrated human pride. At the city of Babel, or Babylon, humanity, speaking one language, decides to make a name for ourselves by building a tower to the heavens. It is the ultimate act of rebellion, seeking glory apart from God. God confuses their language and scatters them, fulfilling his command to fill the earth. The great diaspora from Babel explains the sudden, simultaneous emergence of complex civilizations across the ancient world, in Egypt, the Indus Valley, and beyond. It was not a slow evolution, but a rapid dispersion of already advanced human knowledge. From this scattering, God begins to draw one line back, from the line of Shem, through Eber, from whom we get Hebrew, down to a man named Terah, and finally to his son Abram. This would become God's beachhead. The journey comes full circle, from the first altar of worship on a mountain to the rebellious tower in the plain, to the altar Abraham builds to the one true God in the promised land. The archaeological record, even with its deep time chronology, does not contradict the biblical narrative. Instead, it provides a stunning, tangible landscape for the journey. It shows us the progression from simple ritual to complex cities, exactly as Genesis describes. When we view the evidence without the lens of rigid naturalism, we see a story of divine providence. It is the story of God guiding, judging, and scattering a humanity in rebellion, all while preserving a faithful line. A line that began with the family of 8 on a mountain and led to a man named Abraham, and through him to the salvation of the world. Up next, the stage is now set to bring us back to the Divine Council, where Lucifer takes his position as prosecutor and is about to make his case against all mankind. Here on Secrecies Uncovered.